These machines produce 135 dB of sound pressure, which exceeds the pain threshold by 25 units. Why did Kawasaki decide to leave MotoGP with such a charismatic motorcycle? September 2002 marks a new chapter in the history of motorcycle racing. Just 9 months prior, on December 1, 2001, the Kawasaki MotoGP project began. Developed by a team of just 9 people, the machine must be extremely lightweight, incredibly fast, and have the unmistakable appearance of Kawasaki. And of course, it must be a winning machine. After a 20-year absence from Grand Prix racing, Kawasaki accepted the challenging task of returning. The first prototypes were based on the production model, which is clearly reflected in the contours of the bright green fairing, which over time almost completely mirrored the lines of the super successful ZX-10R. From this, one can already draw conclusions about Kawasaki's philosophy and one of the main reasons for the company's absence from Grand Prix racing today. This is the desire to participate in and win motorcycle races with bikes that customers can purchase in stores. This is the code name that the Grand Prix Ninja received. Step by step, the new machine took on the necessary shapes. Aerodynamics is vital in Grand Prix racing, as at speeds over 300 km per hour, the air becomes a sort of wall. After numerous tests in the wind tunnel, the perfect shape was finally found, allowing it to literally slice through the air. The final design immediately makes it clear why Kawasaki motorcycles have been nicknamed frogs. The wildly charismatic, muscular design resembled the Toads from the Battletoads game series. The engine configuration, as well as the color, is in the signature style of Kawasaki, featuring a high-revving inline-4. All engines were manufactured and assembled by the team's engineers by hand. One of the key roles in creating a lightweight and compact engine was played by the latest high-speed generator. Even in the early stages, the traditionally powerful engine for Kawasaki produced over 200 horsepower. The motorcycle was fully assembled and tested for the first time just a month before the trials on Mount Kyushu in Japan on September 9, 2002. The engineers tried to calmly go about their business, keeping a small sense of anxiety within. Everyone was waiting for this day, no one even smiled. In the fresh autumn air, there was a slight hint of unease. And the Ninja ZX-R emerges from the development center to shout its name, and to truly shout. I think everyone who watches this channel understands perfectly what the sound of Grand Prix motorcycles is like. The noise level on the starting straight or in the pit lane reaches 135 dB, which is 25 dB above the pain threshold. The engine can be heard several kilometers away from the racetracks, and at a distance of 200 meters from a speeding car, one has to ask the conversation partner to repeat themselves. That is why all personnel, without exception, track staff and team members, do not go out onto the pit lane without special headphones or earplugs. The next stage was the debut at the Motegi track in October of the same year. Amid shouts of banzai, the Japanese presented their new motorcycle to the public. It was the only one painted in the signature bright green color. Green had long been considered a color that brings bad luck in racing, but Kawasaki has repeatedly disproved this fabricated myth throughout its racing history. October 6th, the finale of the Pacific Grand Prix. Just 10 months prior, the project had begun, and now the pit lane was filled with a combination of nerves and smiles. The whole world was watching the start of a new era in racing. Akira Yanagawa, Kawasaki's chief test rider, calmly awaited the start of the race, and the green line was once again visible in the premier class. But unfortunately, everything did not start as smoothly as expected. Fans watched in enchantment as Ninja XR confidently overtook his competitors. But on the 7th lap, everything ended with an oil leak. In the next moment, Kawasaki's hopes for their debut race collapsed. Silence did not rise on the circuit. Words could not describe the disappointment that the team members experienced. After that, the only thing left for the team was to thoroughly study the problem. January 2003, Sepang Circuit in Malaysia. From this moment, the project is handled by the European division of the team. Only 3 months remain until the start of the 2003 championship. After a year of development, a new, improved Ninja has emerged, filled with the competitive spirit of Kawasaki. In the following year, 2004, rider Shingen Nakano joined the team and took first place on the podium for the XR with a third-place finish in the Japanese Grand Prix. In 2005, Olivier Jacques finished second at the Chinese Grand Prix. The following year, Nakano finished second at the Dutch TT. In 2007, Randy DePuniet finished in second place at the Grand Prix in Japan. In 2008, the best results were 2 fifth places for John Hopkins in Portugal and for Anthony West in Brno. Hopkins and West complained about both the lack of sensitivity in the front end and the poor grip on the track when exiting corners. At the end of 2008, Kawasaki announced its exit from MotoGP. However, Ford Racing decided to acquire the XRR, on which Marco Melandri achieved the 4th and final 2nd place for Kawasaki in the 2009 season. But at the end of the season, Ford Racing left MotoGP, and Melandri moved to Superbike. Why did the fate of the XRR end before it even really began? After all, the results that the motorcycle showed could have been confidently improved by good riders to create that very champion motorcycle. There are several reasons for Kawasaki's cold attitude towards MotoGP. First, it is the signature phrase of the chief engineer of Kawasaki's racing department, Ichiro Yoda, quote, "We don't sell prototypes, we sell road motorcycles and superbikes, and we're better to present them to the public than in superbike racing." These words explain the long-standing dominance of the green superbikes, on which Kawasaki has staked everything. Note that the ZX-10R consistently receives updates every year, unlike the motorcycles of other teams. And secondly, as of today, MotoGP, according to the same Yoda, is too expensive for Kawasaki. It turns out that developing the H2 line and selling the H2R simply as a business card for the company is financially feasible. However, achieving victories in one of the most prestigious races and etching their name in history is, unfortunately, not. Well, there's some common sense in this. MotoGP is at least 10 times more expensive than WSBK today. To compete successfully in the Grand Prix, a minimum of 60 million euros per year is needed. For Honda, for example, the budget reaches 100 million. There's the secret of Honda, by the way. In general, it is very difficult to convince management to find such funds if you cannot sell what goes out on the racetrack. But we should not forget that motorcycles are just one of Kawasaki's directions, but what charismatic motorcycles they make.